Hello, today we are in the Projective Eye Gallery at UNC Charlotte Center City, and we're talking to the new Director of Galleries for the College of Arts and Architecture, Adam Justice. Adam, welcome to UNC Charlotte.
Thanks, Meg. It's great to be here.
And you're coming to us from the Mint Museum.
Yeah, I was at the Mint Museum for the past 2 years, where I was the assistant curator for modern and contemporary art.
So just right down the street from here.
Yeah.
And while you're at UNC Charlotte in the College of Arts and Architecture, you will be managing the exhibitions and curating exhibitions for this gallery here uptown, and then also on campus.
Right, yeah.
Row Arts and stores.
Right.
So that's going to be a big job.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to it. Now, I've met a lot of faculty and staff, and I think there's a lot of great possibilities and promise to collaborate across departments and also across the university on different projects and exhibitions.
How did you get interested in art and art making? Do you make art yourself?
On occasion. I think more these days it's for therapy than anything else. But I actually started as a painting major in college, and I switched to art history just because I fell in love with learning about history from the visual and from the object. And so I switched to art history and kind of coincidentally fell into curating. It was never kind of a career goal of mine, but I've always been interested in art from as far back as I can remember. But I think really the big point in my life where I realized art could be something more than just doodling and drawing was when my father, when I was about 4 years old, took one of those Bob Ross instructional classes in my small hometown, and he set up this small little studio in the basement of our house, and I would go with him once a week to the classes and sit and watch him. Then I would come back home and go into the studio and watch him, and he was very determined to learn. He was very serious about it, and so as a young child, 4 years old, I realized, that was the first time I realized that, art could be a serious practice. Art could be something that you throw yourself into and you learn, and it could be down the road something that you could do for a living. And my father, he stopped painting not long after that. I think he got a little frustrated with the whole process, but that stuck with me. And I still have vivid memories. And even today when I walk into a studio classroom and smell oil paint, that's what it takes me to, was those moments with my father. And so he really indirectly taught me that art could be a serious thing that I could pursue as a life career.
Yeah, that's great, and it's amazing to be just 4 and to experience that. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in a small town in southwestern Virginia near Tennessee, a small railroad town, and I grew up not around art museums. There wasn't a lot of cultural opportunities where I grew up. And so it's really kind of amazing that I stayed interested in art all those years, and luckily, my mother was a high school teacher. She retired after 35 years of teaching, so I had access to the library at the high school even when I was in middle school and elementary school. And so I would look at art in books in the library. That was kind of how I found my museum moment, was in the library of the public school system. And then once I went to college, the whole world opened up to me in terms of culture and diversity and art. There was a gallery on campus. It was near Roanoke, Virginia, where there was a museum. So suddenly I had all these opportunities, and I realized what I always thought it would be like. And so I just threw myself and immersed myself into the art world in small central Virginia. But then grad school, I went to Richmond, which they have much more cultural opportunities, and I met a lot of people there. And so with every stage of my life, I've only kind of fed that need to be in front of art and to interact with art at a certain level. And certainly Charlotte is a great example of just how broad of an art community a city can have, no matter its size. And I really think, I've only been here 2 years, but that's been enough to make me realize just how important and how expansive and how deep the art community is here in Charlotte. I mean, I think that the university is in this unique position to offer opportunities within this arts community from an academic standpoint. So we can couple the arts experience with the educational experience, make it fun, but keep it as an experience surrounded by art, and engaging, supporting, and celebrating the local arts community that we're in the middle of every day.
Well, I know that you, prior to coming to Charlotte, you were in Florida, and that you have curated a show in Florida that you hope to bring this fall to this gallery here. Tell us a little bit about that work and that artist.
So I was the curator at Polk Museum of Art in Lakeland, Florida for about 7 years, and I left there in 2016. And literally 2 weeks before I left, I met with artist Richard Hype, who's been a University of Florida professor for 38 years. And I had always been really interested in his work. He does intriguing painting. And so I reached out to him about a show, and it just so happened that I first met with him right before I left. And it also just so happened he was thinking about an idea for a retrospective exhibition. You know, he is right on the cusp of retiring from the University of Florida. And so we started that conversation, and then I left and came to the Mint, and he and the museum director asked if I would at least stay on to curate this show remotely from Charlotte. And of course I wanted to do that. And so Richard and I worked on this show for about 2 years, and it finally opened just in June at the Polk Museum. And it spans 38, actually 40 years of his career, because some of the pieces are actually produced by Richard when he was a college student. And it has has works from about 10 different series that he's worked on throughout his career. The checklist is somewhere around 60 to 70 pieces, and his pieces are fairly large, so it's a really large show. Richard and I have been talking about, you know, where could we take this show, where could it travel? And it seemed to me like this was a perfect fit because of Richard's experience within the university world, and bringing his work here and really exhibiting an abbreviated form of the show that's down in Florida. But also engaging Richard and putting him in front of some of the students here at the university. He's a great presenter, and he's been a teacher for so long that he's really great at connecting with students through his work. So not only is it great to have his work here because it's such intriguing and beautiful work, but also we have this really great advantage of having an artist who has been a teacher in the art world for so many years, and to have him come and visit another university to speak with some students, maybe even go to some of the classes and speak to some of the painting students, but also photography students, because his work really speaks to not only painting, but also photography and the relationship between the two. So there's a number of ways we can program opportunities for students to engage with Richard on those levels.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, we're looking forward to seeing all of the things that you're going to do, both here in the Center City Gallery and in the galleries on campus. And again, welcome to UNC Charlotte.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm really happy to be here.
And thank you for joining us for Inside UNC Charlotte.